Namaste, my friends. With all the sessions I have been conducting this week, I have been saying that the new year has started from today. New year has started from today, what it means. We wait for a new year that is also the same day, one day in the night. Only number is different, 125. And then we try to think, we make a resolve, we are thinking, and we are postponing that we will resolve from the New Year's Day. Why not we start our resolve from today? I will be focusing in this new year on happiness, love, and peace. Within, we discover happiness, love, and the peace within ourselves when we allow it to manifest in our day to day life. And let us see how we progress and evolve and start living, thinking, speaking, and acting in happiness, love, and peace, bypassing, transcending the anxiety, duality, conflict. Long list. So, the first thing first, from today, in the morning, the moment you wake up in the morning, just ask your mind, do you still remember the Shanti mantra? And the moment you remember the Shanti mantra, just you sit down, close your eyes. Let us close your eyes now, even. And find out the most comfortable position of your body, the place, position in the posture, being comfortable. And when you are comfortable, also find out you are carefree. Let the thought is coming and going. Let the thought is coming and going. And in that state, you remember, oh yes, Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. So, first, if you can say in your Sanskrit, it's good. If you cannot say, just say 3 times. May there be happiness for all. May there be happiness for all. May there be happiness for all. Then we reflect on it. What is that reflection? If happiness is my essential nature and I am a human being, it means it is within me, it is within every human being in this universe, or it is within every living being in this universe. So let me start my day in the state of happiness. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. Peace is our essential nature. Essential nature means it is present 24 by 7. Means that peace within me is my nature, essential nature. It is eternal. It is not that I am in peace, I am the peace. You have to start the day with that. I am the peace. I am the peace. I am happiness. I am peace. That is what in this journey we are going to discover. Sarvesham Mangalam Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Purna means completeness, the whole. I am the whole. Why I am the whole? Because there is no pleasure-seeking desire. There is no expectation from someone to appreciate me, to praise me so that I will be happy. I am happy. I am complete. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. May there be auspiciousness for all. Auspiciousness, good. Everything good will happen, should happen into my life from the morning until the evening, provided there is a condition that there is no pleasure-seeking desire. I am not expecting love and appreciation from anyone. What is going to happen? I experience that happiness in me, peace in me, and peace, happiness, completeness, and auspiciousness converts into love also. That is our journey in this whole year. Happiness, love, and the peace. I love in happiness, happiness, love, and the peace all the time, in spite of. Does anxiety or the duality or a conflict informs you that I'm coming? Answer is big no. But when mind starts looking within, you experience that peace, love, and happiness. Happiness, love, and the peace. In that state, look at the flow of the breath. Look at the flow of the breath. Do not say, do not do anything. Flow of the breath means you are watching, you are feeling the sensation of the breath going in and out. You're not doing anything at this moment except you are aware of the breath. What is the best thing? Why we are aware of the breath? You are aware of the breath in present moment. You cannot be aware of the breath from the past. Do you understand that point? Understanding is very important. Oh yes, because I'm not aware of the breath which took place yesterday or an hour before. I'm aware of the breath. I'm aware of the flow of the breath from moment to moment, What it means? I can keep my mind in the present moment. Why? Why to keep that? Why? To allow the manifestation, to allow happiness, peace, love, and the peace to manifest. Other thoughts are coming, let it come and go. Let it come and go. Every day, few minutes of your time, you should be doing. Just, you allow. Did you understand that point clearly? The breath, you are not aware of the breath which took place an hour before, yesterday, or day after, or a week before. Your mind is aware of the breath in the present moment. So if the mind goes anywhere else, bring the mind back to the flow of the breath. Feel the sensation of the breath in and out. And more you do it, by the end of this week, I believe and trust you that you'll be aware of the breath for at least another half an hour. We are completing this practice in 10 minutes. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And slowly open your eyes, live into that state with awareness and attention. We are going to understand three things: happiness, love, and the peace. And the fourth word is awakening. What is awakening? First. And then we'll talk about happiness, love, and the peace. Okay? So what is this awakening? Awaken to happiness. What is awakening? Awaken means is to move from the state of ignorance, distraction, delusion, unconsciousness to a state of heightened awareness. According to the Eastern wisdom, it means that awakening means that I had a glimpse of that happiness, that love and the peace within me, and the mind has stopped running outside. It is not seeking, it is not a pleasure seeking mind, it is a real self seeking mind. Just imagine you have been asleep for a long time, unaware of your surrounding. The moment you wake up, you see the world clearly for the first time. Similarly, awakening to happiness, love, and peace means stepping out of the fog of seeking external validation and realizing the true happiness and love are within you, always available. Your mind is expecting this guy should appreciate and validate me. That expectation is clouding the mind, and suddenly you remember the principle. You simply remember that the happiness, love, and the peace are within me, and that cloud dissolves, disappears, and you are in peace, happiness. Whether that person comes to you to appreciate you or do not appreciate you, it does not make any difference. Did you understand this point? That should happen now. Awakening, another way to understand awakening is like the sun rising after a long night. Before the sun rises, the world is shrouded in darkness, but once the light appears, everything becomes visible and clear. In the same way, when you awaken to happiness, love, and the peace, you see the world and yourself with clarity. You see, yes, I'm in peace and happiness. Thank you. Come, welcome my friends. But you welcome the friend, but you have no expectations. Mind is clear from the fog, from the cloud. Am I clear? Awakening word, I made it clear. Now we will come to understand what is happiness. Happiness is just, it is not a fleeting emotion, but an enduring state of peace, contentment, and the joy that that sparks from within you. It is a natural state. Happiness is the absence of hesitation in the mind. That is what we say. It is an absence of hesitation in the mind. It arises when desires and delusions subside. It arises or it manifests when the delusion, expectations, and the ignorance and the mind chasing something outside has stopped. Happiness is always there. True happiness is not dependent on external object, people, relationship, but is experienced when the mind is calm and content. Imagine, just imagine your mind is like a glass of muddy water. When left undisturbed, you're not doing anything. Thought of expectation is there, but you are not craving for it. When undisturbed, the mud settles and the water becomes clear. The mind becomes clear. Even the thought of expectation is there, but you are not chasing it. So that mud of expectation settles down when the mind is free from the desires and distractions and the delusion. Happiness shines through. Happiness is like the sun hidden behind the clouds. The sun is always present, but we only experience its lights when the clouds disperse. You are a seeker now. You have understood, you are understanding the higher principles, so I'm directly talking to you. The clouds represent hesitations of the mind. When they clear, happiness naturally manifests. Why we need it? Now question comes, why we need happiness? Why you need happiness? It's my nature. Have you heard anyone, I'm seeking stress, I want more and more anxiety, I want more and more reaction? No one, including all the living species. They are not seeking anything like anxiety, duality, delusion, conflict. We all are seekers of happiness. Why we need it? Because it is our nature. But on the other hand, if you want to know the benefit, obviously we say the happy mind is essential for clarity, for productivity, for harmony, for relationship. Because if I'm seeking pleasure from the world outside, it causes dissatisfaction. But the inner happiness fosters resilience and well being. And these are common benefits. You have to listen to it. Say, for example, you heard me that inner happiness fosters resilience and well being. So now you are reflecting on it. Is there a happiness inside? Yes. But at the same time, the thought of expectations and delusion is also there. But they have lost their emotion in the power, in the presence of the inner happiness. That thought also dissipates. That is the beauty. Happiness is like a calm lake. When the water is still, it reflects the sky perfectly, showing the beauty of everything around. In the same way, when your mind is in the state of happiness, free from the distraction, what is that distraction? Delusion. Pleasure seeking mind. Happiness naturally arises within. Then, even with home, your mind has a feeling of a hatred, or your hatred dissipates and dissolves. We are starting totally on a positive note the series of happiness, love, and peace. Love is not just an emotion directed at another person. Normally, when the love is directed to another person with a feeling of expectation, it is attachment, it is craving, it is an obsession. You are sitting calmly in the state of happiness. You are aware of the world outside. There is no expectation and attachment and judgment. In that moment, that love manifests in you. And that love manifests in you is unconditional love. And that unconditional love always like to manifest. It wants to give. It does not want to take. Why? Because it's a recognition of oneness with all beings. It transcends attachment, conditions, and expectation. Means what? My mind moves with attachment, conditions, and expectations. It is conditional love. And when there is a pure emotion free from attachment, condition, expectations, selfishness, what happens? We are full of love. So how long you can be in that state of unconditional love 24/7? Why? Because it is your nature. We can roughly compare the mother's love for the child is selfless and unconditional. Roughly. It's better to understand in a different way. Love is like a river that flows freely, nourishing everything in its path without discrimination. True love gives without expecting anything in the return, and we have sown the seed of that unconditional love through the action. I told you, whenever the David comes to the house, welcome, but with awareness, giving nature. Come on, take the breakfast, tea, coffee, whatever you want. Your mind is relatively free, showering love. That is going to change your relationship. Why we need love? We need love, that unconditional love, not attachment. That unconditional love eliminates the false sense of separation. When we are in unconditional love, it removes the delusion. It takes you, it destroys the loneliness and the inner conflict in you. We are talking about happiness, love, and peace. It brings a harmony to the relationship, enriching both the giver and the receiver. Love is like an ocean, vast and all embracing. It doesn't judge the rivers that flow into it, it simply accepts everything, integrates into the depth. In the same way, the love is all embracing. We have covered two: happiness, love. So when you listen to again and again and reflect on it, you will find a tremendous change. What is peace? Third thing. Peace is the stillness of the mind, undisturbed by the external circumstances. I had one student from New Jersey, whose house borders the fire station. And we already know that, the fire station blows the horns. And he used to get disturbed. But now he says, no, it doesn't affect me. So it means my stillness is not attacked or affected by anything outside. Peace. You have to understand clearly. Without peace, there cannot be happiness and love. The foundation of happiness and love is peace of the mind. Peace is always there in the mind. We don't recognize it. Peace is the space between the two thoughts. How do you recognize that you have a two thought? Because they are separate. When they are separate means what? There is a space. That space is peace. So peace is always there in the background. We don't recognize it. Why we don't recognize? Mind is always overwhelmed, seeking peace, validation and expectations, desire fulfillment from the world outside. Without peace, the mind is reactive, chaotic, it gets the emotional upset, it goes into anxiety, the happiness is gone. That unconditional love becomes too far. Our journey now is to awaken to happiness, love, and the peace. What it means that I have to realize these qualities are already a part of you, embedded in your true essence. I'm of the nature, I'm the peace and happiness, I'm the love. Who can disturb me? Have you ever thought like this? You have to start thinking like this. But our mind, the human mind, is crazy. It has spent years and years and years looking for happiness in the external things, whether it is a wealth or fame or relationship only to find these things give you temporary joy. That temporary joy is a pleasure. Over time, we realize that the true happiness is found within, but still our mind is habituated. It is heavily conditioned. It changes its stand instantly. What is the practice in the Eastern wisdom? By repeat, understanding, and the practice, we change this very character of the mind. We look for that happiness, love, and the peace in the cave of your heart. The moment you have an anxiety, duality, and a conflict, start looking within. Allow the thought to pass by. Recognize and realize, and you are happy. Happiness, love, and peace. At any moment in your life, ask yourself, am I in peace? Mind is relatively still. No thought has taken you for a ride. A sense of stillness you experience within the space between the two thoughts. It will lead you to the state of the joy and the happiness coming from within, and that happiness and the peace will take you to the unconditional love. The Shanti mantra, it is a practice of empathy and gratitude. When you have a practice of empathy and gratitude, that unconditional love starts manifesting in our life. Not only this Shanti mantra, but also regular practice, the last practice that I gave to you. Don't forget. Or simply remember listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, practice and experience, daily analysis, and then apply the wisdom daily in your life. Our masters say that we should ask a question to our mind when we are alone or with eyes closed. What brings me the true joy? Am I seeking happiness in external things? And the moment you find that you are seeking a happiness in external things, just allow the thought to drop, weaken. Weaken it by not paying attention, or remembering that happiness is within me. Regular practice of meditation and continuously dropping the sense of attachment, duality, and a conflict. So we have been studying this text of Bhaja Govindam, and I'm adding another text for clarity. which talks in detail about the mind, the nature of the mind, the structure of the mind, and the way the mind has to be uh, taken over. Mind is the worst master. Mind is the faithful servant. So we have to make the mind faithful servant. Did you understand what I have been talking until now? Happiness is the absence of hesitation. In the mind, it arises when desires and delusion subside, revealing the innate joy of the self. Delusion and these pleasure seeking desires are clouds clouding the sun. Understand that relationship. So once you drop them, you don't pay attention to them. That means that you have dropped. If the guy is coming and the mind says, oh, he's not appreciating, drop that idea. And you see the mind, absence of hesitation. The true happiness is not dependent on external objects, people, relationship. We discussed happiness is like the sun behind the clouds. Why we need it, I made it very clear. Happiness is our essential nature. We are the seekers of peace and happiness. But we start searching that peace and happiness in the wealth, in the relationship, in the attachment, and that causes the problem. Love is the recognition of one thing with all the beings. And peace is the stillness of the mind, undisturbed. So in the text we have studies that we should recognize and realize the real self of the nature of unconditional love. And that comes by understanding, by regular practice, listening and learning. That is the one thing. But silently, we are taking over the mind. We want to self-discipline the mind. We need a endurance. We need a resilience. Letting go of the distractions, letting go of the pleasure-seeking desires, letting go. What is letting go? Live in the present moment. What is live in the present moment? The instant practice is that, oh, let me watch the breath. Let me look into the flow of the breath. But what it happens, the breath is, I'm aware and feeling the sensation of the breath in the present moment. What it means, I'm bringing the mind again and again in the present moment. Oh, I'm bringing the mind again and again in the present moment. Means what? If other thoughts of delusion and expectations are coming, let them come and go, you don't pay attention to it. So again, it is a way to take care of the mind also, or control the mind, or to take over the mind. You're emptying the mind. You're emptying the mind from the pleasure-seeking desires which causes the distraction and the delusion. You're talking to someone, but internally you can be aware of the breath. And if you have any thought of expectations from the person sitting in front of you, Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. That is one option. Second option, I'm giving you the practical tips. So you are talking to someone, or Is there my mind has some delusion driven desire with that person, and the moment you recognize it is there, you drop it. Understand it clearly. How can you differentiate between the true happiness and the pleasure based on someone, object, people, things, and relations outside? True happiness is the calmness and contentment that is within you. Your mind is not rushing outside, it is not quoting any person or object or a thing. It is free from attachment to the external outcomes. We are trying to understand between the true happiness and the fleeting pleasures. Fleeting pleasures are temporary and often followed by the desire for more. Desire with an attachment, desire with an expectation. Reflecting on your inner state when not seeking external sources of the joy helps identify the difference. What roles does the mind play in our ability to experience love and peace? Did you get the answer of it? What roles does the mind play in our ability to experience love and peace? The mind, when agitated by attachment and expectation, clouds our ability to experience love and peace. True love and the peace arise when the mind is still undisturbed by external distractions. It doesn't mean that you are not talking to that person. There is no sense of ego, there is no sense of expectations. You just you're talking to the person on any issue, minus attachment and delusion. That state, so the mind plays an important role. How can detachment help in finding happiness? How can detachment help in finding happiness, love, and peace? So, what is attachment? Before attachment, there comes an association. Before association, there comes the likes and dislikes. So, likes and dislikes belongs to the mind. And by default, my friend, my dear friend, this likes and dislikes enters into the mind by default. You go to someone's house. Oh, it's so good. I like it. You take a cup of coffee. I like it. You see something on the store, in the mall, supermarket. Oh, I like it. You find a blue color. If you happen to have that impression of liking for a blue color and you see any object in the blue color, you like it. So when the mind keeps on roaming on the likes and dislikes, it is associated. So we have the mind builds the association. After association, it has an expectation and it's seeking validation, attachment. And that attachment leads to identification with the external things, people, relationship, learning to why we are identifying with it, because we are seeking happiness, love, and the peace. So, what is this state? This state is the delusion. Why it is a delusion? Love, peace, and happiness are not dependent on anything outside. By cultivating, so what I have to cultivate, I have to get rid of this attachment from where it has started. How? By thinking in your mind. He is my son, I love him. Finished. I love him because he is my son causes the attachment. Ah, he is my son, so I love him. So what it means when he comes, I will welcome him. I'll offer him. Finished. So that is okay, isn't it okay? But it is not okay. My son will come, will appreciate me, will praise me what I have done for him. Who doesn't do? You are a mother. Who doesn't do for their kids? Can you answer why it is essential to recognize and realize your true nature? Because true nature is of permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. One reason. Second reason, because if I recognize and realize, I will bring an end to the ignorance and suffering and delusion once and for all. That is known as an awakening. Once you have an awakening, it is an irreversible process. It cannot be reversed because now you cannot enter into anxiety, duality, and a conflict in your life. I was talking, the peace is the foundation. Peace in the mind is the foundation. And by regular listening and learning, practicing, you will realize that it's very easy to empty the mind. Why? By understanding. Attachment, drop it. Expectations, drop it. Validation, drop it. You drop 99% of the thoughts, and that 1% of the thoughts is not causing any problem. Not only by contemplation and reflection, but also by regular practice and listening and learning. So once the peace is settled, happiness will enter. Happiness will manifest from deeper within. And once the peace and the happiness manifest from within, you will have a glimpse of unconditional love. Reflect on some of the questions. What is the state of your mind when you experience happiness? You have to ask. What is the state of your mind when you experience the happiness? Are external circumstances involved, or does it arise from within you? Think of a time when you experienced true love. How did it feel? And did it come from the expectations or conditions outside, or did it come from within you? So keep a journal. So every day before going to sleep, how many times I went into anxiety, delusion, and I was upset. So you will be, once you write for about a week, you will recognize what is that object or a person or a relationship being repeated by the mind every day, which causes the anxiety, and then you write to me, we will take care of that. Sometime our deep attachment and expectations from the people, situation, events, and relationship goes unnoticed, and it causes the delusion during the day, which results into reaction and expectation and hesitation. So means that what do you identify with more often? The thoughts that create hesitation, or the moments of stillness between them? What did I say? What do you identify with more often? Is it the stillness within you? You are becoming a great seeker. Or is it the thought related to some person, or thought related to an object, or thought related to a person, situation, event, like Christmas? So when you identify, oh, this is going to cause the problem, this is going to make me happy, both the cases we have an attachment and association, it is going to create problem. How do your attachments to external objects or outcomes influence your inner peace and happiness? How do your attachments to external objects or people influence your inner peace and happiness? When you are asking this question to yourself, you are taking a great step, provided you remember those steps. What practice can you adopt today to cultivate inner peace? How can that lead to greater happiness? We have done, the last, I would say, 8 or 9 sessions on this text, and there I stressed more on what the deluded mind, the foolish mind. The first part of the verse, do you remember? Remember these, so you have to check it every day. First part of the verse, recognize and realize the real self of the nature of unconditional love. The Master says, addresses to all of us, O deluded mind or a foolishness. Why you are saying foolishness? He is saying foolishness. He is saying your mind is deluded. He is saying because every day on one or the other account, we experience the sense of upset and anxiety and reaction and duality and a conflict. Sometimes we suppress it, sometimes we express it, sometimes we react it. Anxiety, chronic. How long it has been being repeated again and again? Why don't we pay attention to it? Why don't we resolve that at least I should not fall into unconsciousness. I should not enter into this form of an anxiety. At least when you resolve and then you find out this is the cause. Once you find the cause, and it is gone. Finished. So the Master gives an example that intellect understands by listening and learning. but the mind can only understand by repeat listening and learning, by repeat practice, by repeat contemplation and reflection, by daily analysis. How many times I went into anxiety because you are making the mind aware. And that rise in awareness helps the mind to drive away all those thoughts of reaction and expectation and validation. So the master in the first verse is reminding us that simply by claiming that I have understood will not work at the level of the mind. How much information my intellect and your intellect has had? Do you need to remember how the landscaping profession works? You need not to remember. It's everything, it is already settled. You have repeated hundred of times with a hundred of clients, and that is why you remember everything. Are you getting it? That is why you remember everything. Same way, intellectual understanding is definitely required. And I'm not talking of any dogma, belief, cult, and religion. It is clear, logical understanding. I explained you what is peace. I explained you what is happiness. I explained you what is unconditional love and how they are related to one another and what prevents this peace, love, and the happiness to reveal itself from within. What prevents the mind, the delusion? Why the mind and the delusion? Now also understand the answer to any very important question. What is that question? Question is, intellect has understood, but the mind does not understand, or mind does not want to understand what? Because if the mind understands it, it will implement in the life. Then it will stop the expectations, reactions. But question is, why the mind does not understand or does not want to understand? The answer to both questions is the same. Because the same mind has lot of expectations, delusion in the reaction, it is still the thoughts of validation and expectations are already there present as a memory. So when the intellect says the happiness is within, the mind is attached to that thought of expectation within, and it says, okay, I have understood, then what? And the mind repeats the same expectation tomorrow. So you see that, in a democracy, we have a democracy. So vice president has a vote which way it will go. If the bill is introduced in the Senate and the vice president comes, and if he or she wants the bill to be passed, so he or she leans towards the bill proposed by the particular party. Clear? Now see that the mind has a casting vote. On one side you have sense organs, you have the objects, you have the expectations, you have reaction, you have validation, you have anxiety. Now here is the mind, and on the other side you have an intellect. Intellect has a knowledge. So what happens? By repeat practice, contemplation and reflection, the intellect is attracting the mind. Come on, you have to cast the vote here in my favor. The moment the intellect leans towards the knowledge, cast the vote in the favor of the knowledge, all your delusion, expectations, reactions are gone. Thank you.